Let's call our meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Almighty God, as we gather, we thank you for everybody here, all the students and all the staff members and all that they accomplish, and we ask you would continue to bless them in athletics, but in all areas, and especially the academics and the attendance. Bless and be with them. And bless and be with us tonight as we meet. Give us discretion and wisdom. Amen. Nobody signed up for public comment, so that brings us now down to the student and staff recognitions.
Do you want to start?
Sure. So this, for those of you that don't know, it is National School Counseling Week. So for that, I just wanted to take a second and recognize Ms. Shelby Thomas. This is her first year as a halftime school counselor, halftime school social worker. She has been put in charge of grades 7 through 9, and she's doing an awesome job with that. She's also really plowing through all of her classes and doing an awesome job with that. But I just wanted to give you this certificate and thank you for everything you do. And then Miss Judy as well. She couldn't be here this evening, but I also do want to recognize Miss Allie Judy for everything that she does and supports the students. We're knee deep in making sure that seniors graduate, so I appreciate all that she does as well.
Right, and that appreciation also goes to the other school counselors, Mr. P.J. Combs at Brandywine, and Miss Victoria Rhodes at Franklin Elementary, and Miss Kelly Wydell at North Fork Elementary. So,
Thank you.
and we have another recognition for staff that we would like to do.
So I have Miss Dolly Rexroad, and I feel like I wrote this to be spoken, so I'm going to read off of my phone. So Ms. Dolly is incredible. She is employed with a grant called Guidepost, West Virginia Guidepost to Graduation, which is a grant that we receive for students who have IEPs, and we employ her as a job exploration coordinator. So she takes students out every week to different job placements, and they are able to do work. So every year those job placements change a bit, but some are welding, some are mechanics, some are education related, and they go down to the elementary schools, just based on what students are interested in. So at the end of last year, a parent sent Ms. Dolly this message. She said, "I want to tell you, and maybe you can pass the word on, that I love the program that this student was in last year. Going out and welding on Mondays totally changed him, complaining about wanting to drop out of school. He really enjoyed that and looked forward to that, so thank everybody who makes that possible." She worked with 12 students last year, and they all showed growth in their work skills, helping prepare them to go out into the workforce following graduation. Over the past couple of years, at least 2 students have been offered jobs at their placements. Another one was able to determine that what they were going to major in at college and was offered an opportunity to volunteer in a summer workplace program. Several have been able to get a taste of specific vocations that they enjoy and have been applied to and been accepted in the respective programs at VOTEC. She works with an already vulnerable population of students, as those who participate have been identified as having a disability, but there are several who have undergone enormous personal trauma while in the program. I truly believe that the relationships she builds with these students have helped build their resiliency through their personal circumstances. I've heard multiple stories of students who have considered dropping out, who have then changed their minds due to the relationship they've built with Ms. Dolly and the opportunities she offers. She truly cares deeply about these students, and those relationships go a long way into the success of our students. So I'm very grateful for everything that she does.
Thank you.
She put this together for our students also, so we made sure to have that up so you can see.
And that's just the nature of Miss Dolly. I mean, the locker rooms are fresh and nice every summer, refreshed, I should say, because she works with, she kind of spearheads. I don't think she's the only one. I know that Travis has a lot to do with that too, but she really gets the ball rolling. I know I was here Monday, and she wasn't shying away at all from tackling getting all the snow off of the vehicle for her program. There's just no job that she won't jump right into. If she sees something that needs to be done, she does it. She sends me just encouraging emails on a regular basis. Sometimes, every once in a while, I'll have to say, Miss Dolly, and she'll send them. But she's just a wonderful employee. That's just such a blessing to so many. We wanted to recognize her.
Good. Thank you.
So we've got things a little bit backwards. Student recognition now. Ms. Lateef is going to share the middle school's top 3 general summative scores, just as we've been doing at the other schools. So.
Yeah, so these are top 3 from last year's general summative assessment. So our the 6th graders who are now 7th graders, in ELA we had Marion Williams, Elena Hedrick, and Chevelle Noble. For the 6th graders in math, we had Owen Champ, Marion Williams, and Rivers Zutai. 7th graders who are now 8th graders for ELA, Bailey Harper, Weston Boyer, and Anthony Bowman. Our 7th graders for math, Noah Kabetic, Beckett Amon, and Elena Huffman. 8th graders for ELA who are now 9th graders, we have Abigail Judy, Ziva Jones, Caitlin Myers, and Cohen Hyatt. And 8th grade math were Abigail Judy, Tatum Amon, and Isabella Jameson. And then in 8th grade, they also take a test on science at the end of the year. And those students receiving top scores for science were Ziva Jones, Cohen Hyatt, Mason Miller, Isabella Jameson, Caitlin Myers, and Elijah Ruddle.
A lot of hard work there.
A lot of hard work. Does that conclude that?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Congratulations to everybody that's been recognized, students and staff. And now we come down to the minutes for approval. And we have 4 of the minutes for approval, both January 20th and January 24th. Our board meetings in executive session. Are there any corrections, or do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for both January 20 and 24th. Any discussion? Then all in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes. The minutes are approved for both January 20 and 24. And then that brings us down to the personnel.
Resignation and retirements, we have 2. Marlene Simmons, preschool special needs teacher at North Fork Elementary School, effective February 13th, 2026. And Stephanie Kyle as a substitute teacher, effective February 4th.
Kimball, wasn't it?
Twenty-
Kyle or Kimball?
Kimball.
It's Kimball?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ashley sent that today. She
Okay.
couldn't find Stephanie.
Stephanie Kimball for substitute teacher, effective February 4th, 2026.
And you have my recommendation to approve these resignations as presented.
The superintendent's recommending we approve these resignations as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions? Then all in favor of approving the resignation of Marlene Simmons and Stephanie Kimball, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. The resignations are accepted. Employment.
We have Ryan Lateef and Caitlin Dunn for itinerant special education teacher, multi-categorical LD, BD, and ID with autism at Pendleton County Middle High School. Kim Keplinger as a long-term kindergarten teacher at Franklin Elementary School. Robin Simmons, preschool special needs teacher at Franklin Elementary School. Cheryl Hebner as a substitute aide, and Cheryl Hebner as a substitute cook.
You have my recommendation to approve these positions as presented.
Superintendent's recommending employing these people in these positions as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions? Then all in favor of approving these people as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. They are approved. Nothing under contracts or non-paid coaches. So volunteers and chaperones, we won't make you read those. We have them listed.
All right, and you have my recommendation to approve the volunteers and chaperones as presented.
Our superintendent's recommending approving the volunteers and chaperones as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions? Then all in favor of approving the volunteers and chaperones as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes. And I think that finishes us up in personnel. Thank you. We'll move to finance.
So under finance tonight, 6A, we have the bills for the month of January. We'll have treasurer's report at the next meeting, as didn't have time to reconcile the month. For the month of January, but for the bills, we start off with the totals of $520,805.24. I made some notations, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. We did have Weaver's Flooring America, what I still call the Love Grove building, which is our main central office. Of course, we do own the entire building. The daycare rents space off of us, and it is in the lease that we maintain, certainly part of the building, except for very minor repairs. So we did fix some flooring in the building there. And then at North Fork Elementary, when we had the incident over there, we decided to go ahead and put everything back, and then also do some flooring over there to make that even better over there. So that was a job at North Fork Elementary School as well, and Travis worked with Weaver's Floor Company on both of those. The next item for just mentioning, Apogee Thrill Share. That's our website, that's our call-out system, that's everything goes along with that. It is yearly renewal, so it's not perfect, as no system is, but it has been the system that we're using. Some parts are better than others, but it's also an example of an expense that we didn't have necessarily 5 or 6 years ago to that extent. So it's something that we have to do to be current, but at the same time, we talk about expenses that kind of creep up on us. That's one.
It seems to always work real well about 5:30. Works really well.
Works real well, 5 or 5:30.
Not the most pleasant voice on the other end of the phone, but you
Listen,
Technology, software, and update.
it's a
Thank you.
struggle.
We have a technology software, 4,108.91. We're actually going to be removing that one after this year's subscription. Eric and James have found a different software piece to use there that I think will save us some money as far as inventory management. So that has been good. Legal expenses, of course, Dinsmore and Scholl, we always have items that need to be discussed to various degrees. So that was for the last month's legal bills of $78.60. Bus driver training worked through Epic, and we're working on getting that renewed. But bus driver training through Epic that bills us. FleetSoft is a subscription used at the bus garage to help work with inventory items out there. That is mostly reimbursable, so that is certainly good from that perspective. The next item, we've talked about HVAC a little bit on the Saturday meeting and a little bit in other meetings. This is another month, which again, we have a lot of rooms, even in our small county, that obviously need heating and air conditioning, heating this time of the year, so $5,000 for the month for service calls. Tuition reimbursement, that some money comes from the state, some money comes from federal grants that we have, like Travis oversees and sometimes Carrie for those. That was tuition reimbursement. And that can vary depending upon who is applying, where they are in the process, and certain protocols have to be followed for that. The lockers, I was talking to Sonny coming down the hallway. If you paid attention, those new lockers that were purchased over the summertime are now in the middle school there, and so certainly long overdue. We have a lease purchase, because that was about an $80,000 purchase that we lease purchased at low interest over, I think, about 4 years or so. So we are paying this first payment here for lockers lease purchase. The North Mountain cameras, that was at the board meeting in the newspaper a few weeks ago. This is to the county commission to help put a new camera system in for the north mountain camera to see the roads there. Transportation, again, so lubrication oil that they use in some of their mechanics and items out there at the bus garage, $61.57.80. Propane and diesel is on here all the time, so nothing really new to say. We probably are due to go out to bid on propane. We have Southern States, Moorfield. I did confirm, Nicole was asking, we were talking about energy and temperatures in buildings, and Nicole said, well, how much are we paying for propane? Well, in December, we were paying about $1.50, which was good, competitive compared to some of the poultry house growers, I think, and some of the rates that they get. And then we saw a 180 on there. I was like, well, that shouldn't be right. Well, mistakenly, there was a diesel tax added instead of a propane tax. So we've got that straightened out. They've always been very good to work with up at Moorfield. But it did prompt me to say it's been several years, probably pre-COVID, that we've actually bid out propane. So we will go ahead and I'll work on a bid here for the spring. And all that's based upon the market and market conditions, but there are certainly competitors that are out there, and we can take a look at that. And we do heat a lot of our school buildings, particularly this building here, with propane. And so that's really where we're looking at some of those things. It's always based upon so much markup over cost that's there. That's really all that I have as far as notations go. If you have any questions of me, feel free to let me know. So total bills for the month of January, $520,805.24.
You have my recommendation to pay the bills
Our
as
superintendent,
presented.
our superintendent's recommending that we pay the bills as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions? And all in favor of paying the bills in the amount of $520,805.24, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes. Bills are paid. Nothing under budget.
Nothing under
revision?
budget revisions. Under financial update, no particular handouts. And Nicole, I'm assuming, will update on her superintendent report, but we have been busy monitoring legislation, monitoring the status in Charleston, and nothing has really changed as far as, but we're certainly hearing different discussions about funding formulas and 1400 floor and that sort of thing. So certainly we stay very much in tune on that. We were in Charleston today. I'll let Nicole kind of tell you some of the details about the trip to Charleston. But she did, I will go ahead and spill the beans, so to speak, that this wasn't planned, but we decided to sit in on a Senate Education Committee meeting, and while we were down there in Senate Education, all the senators here, including Chairman Grady, and then Nicole has asked her opinion on a piece of legislation down there, and so not only does she get to speak, she makes Metro News as well, while she's speaking there, and did a very good job speaking there. And so kind of impromptu, but I did kind of warn her. I said, if you are in this room and they see a superintendent in the audience, they might ask you, what do you think about something? And sure enough, Senator Oliverio from Morgantown, Mon County, remembered meeting her and I guess had a favorable impression. And then obviously he said, we have a superintendent, I'd like to hear what she has to say about this. So certainly good representation for Pendleton County, making connections, building relationships in Charleston. So it was a busy 24-hour cycle down and back. But it's productive, and obviously, we were talking about the merits of the funding floor and answering questions in general. But again, Nicole can give some more specifics, but I did want to point out that, we have a new media star. So, Nicole, so we do continue monitoring. Nothing has changed on budget numbers. I've run those numbers preliminarily. There will be a pay raise. How much of one? They had hoped for 5. It does seem more like 3%, but it's not guaranteed yet. They're still battling over what they're going to do as far as tax cuts go, and there's a lot of pointed conversation behind the scenes. What they're going to do with that. So time will tell. Funding formula, I'm not sure there's an appetite to do a whole lot of change this year, even though it's talked about a lot, but which is good for us, but at the same time, there is a lot of push from other counties and other areas that they'd like to see some change. And, the special ed funding, which we understand, and some others. So we've always said, we understand that, just don't take it from us, to give it to the other folks. We certainly feel like we're doing a good job with what you've given us. And there is, Delegate Statler did mention, there's more people than ever looking at the numbers, which we understand, but again, that's where we are. So that's all I have under financial update for tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for JP?
How much was talked about the charter schools and Hope scholarships?
Well, today, not very much. I'm sure in prior times, they've discussed that a lot. Today's discussion didn't get into specifics, and I'm sure there's a lot of strong opinions down there, but we didn't get into that discussion today. They're trying to be creative on some of the funding for some of that, which may come to light, that may not come to light with that. So we didn't get asked specifically about that, but I think that ship has sailed in terms of what the legislation is, and then how they decide to, if they ever put a limit on that going forward, I guess time will tell.
I heard today on the news that the governor really pushing more charters, to allow more charter schools.
Correct, and I don't know, I do think even the legislature has somewhat reached its limit, as far as understanding that public ed feels attacked. They may not all agree with that, but they understand that there are some needs that are out here. There's been a lot of money put into the other side, so to speak. And again, there's differing opinions, so I don't think there's as much of an appetite to do that again. But what's already there is still in the budget. Now, can they find a way to maybe fund it a bit differently or delay funding for it? Maybe. So, but that's there, and I think with the legislature that's there now, it's still a majority that want to keep things pretty much, and then try to find some money for public ed, but how they do it, but the revenue matching the expenditures, time will tell based on that. So I do think it was definitely worth the trip to be there in person. But we're not out of the woods yet, but I think every time we go down there and represent, it's a good thing for Pendleton County to do that.
Thank you, JP.
Yep.
That brings us down to facilities.
Just kind of update on the snow. I mean, we, as you all probably realize, moving your own snow, it was very difficult stuff to move. We do have a snow contract at most of our buildings. We did not at North Fork, so we kind of took care of that ourselves using our plow truck. And luckily on Monday, I was coming through town after being at the board office using the snow blower, and Dan's broke down right out the can building, right in front, and so the cold temperatures and stuff sucked all the juice out of his battery, and luckily they were open in town, and we were able to run down and grab a battery and put it back in there so you could keep pushing. But it really tests your equipment and stuff when you're dealing with cold temperatures and some really difficult snow. And so it took us a little longer than anticipated to get it all moved in all the different locations, but I do applaud Potomac Hardware and their staff to get everything moved, and then Dan put a good bit of effort. And our custodians had a tough job after the fact, trying to keep all of our doors open, and so we could exit if we needed to, and get our sidewalks cleared. So it took quite a bit to work with that snow. That's probably the most difficult snow. In 20 years that I've lived back here, that's probably the most difficult snow I've ever had to work with. So, but anyway, we've talked the last couple meetings about Franklin Elementary and some heating issues down there. Finally did get Mason and Barry to come right before the snowstorm. They've identified the problem. They ordered a part, and I tried to get an update today. They thought it was going to ship out last Thursday, but I'm not sure what the weather was and the backups and stuff like that. But I did not get an update today. But hopefully they get up here pretty soon and get that part back on. I did go upstairs in Franklin Elementary. I think it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week, and it was really cold, just to see what the temperature was. And we had propped all the doors open, so it kind of equalized, and it was sold in 70, 71 degrees up there. So it was better than I anticipated. I actually thought they'd be a little chilly. So, but anyway, we checked that. And as far as I know, knock on wood, I haven't heard of any pipes or anything like that we've had to deal with, which is also a concern that you worry about when it's as cold as it is. So anyway, but.
Are we using heaters at Franklin Elementary?
Yeah,
or-
so we have some of the, I don't know, they're like the
Radiator?
little, yeah, like the little block heaters and things like that. Each classroom has one. that they can plug in and heat it up a little bit more if they need to. But like I said, it was pretty comfortable the day that I went up there. So,
And the snow created a problem with the sidewalks, which isn't a facility, but it's still a safety concern. And so we just had, the only thing we really could do was just let students know that they could walk to Franklin Elementary and get on a bus to come here, because this whole walkway is just, there's no walkway.
yeah,
It's
the
just-
stretch from the high school to the Shell station, it was tough.
It's gonna continue to be tough for a while
Yeah.
too, so.
Well, what they did clear the state,
I noticed.
threw it all back
Peeled
in.
Peeled it
Yeah,
back over on
started.
top of
Poor
it.
football boys worked so hard.
Yeah.
They did try to collaborate with the town on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the
So-
conditions, so.
Versus a
just
tough
the way it
storm.
is. Yeah.
It's a tough storm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it was
it
not
was.
easy to move, and when you did
No.
move it, it was in chunks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
crazy.
And Travis
Yeah.
did a great job, and JP as well. There were some issues at just getting into the central office,
Yeah.
and so they
Just
did a great
hard.
job with that, so.
I made it nice to commend those people that did that. And your staff and your janitors and the people pushing snow and stuff. Maybe a little more extra recognition, because I know it wasn't easy. It's not easy moving that stuff.
No, it wasn't easy.
You know, I watched Jeff down at Brandywine out my window.
Yeah, and he did a nice job there.
He
'Cause I went
did.
over Monday evening just to see, and it was still just a winter wonderland. There was nothing touched, and so Tuesday morning, I came in here and turned around, went back over there. It was
He
all
had it.
cleared. And I think Connie or somebody, I'm assuming Jeff and maybe Connie together, there's a lot of sidewalk at Brandywine.
I think he had a couple boys with
Did he?
him. He
Okay.
did tell, I
Yeah.
forget.
But they
Oh,
had,
I think it was Trey Lambert and another one
okay.
shoveled off, because Ronnie was watching, he said, I
Yeah.
better.
Well,
should
there was a
take
little
my
more than
tractor
just
down."
shoveling it off.
Yeah.
You had to break
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah.
and shove-
And-
It wasn't, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, it was Trace Lambert, and I'm
And
not sure who
Trace
the
and
other
another
one.
boy went
But,
with him.
they, over at Brandywine, I'd messaged Nicole and I said, Brandywine looks really
So
good.
they worked hard,
Yeah,
I
we-
watched them.
It probably looked better than the two schools here in town.
It was good,
so.
yeah, they worked hard.
It was me driving around checking the parking lots that gave me heart palpitations, because Southern States was here filling 4 tanks, and I was like, please tell me we're locked in, because this is a terrible, terrible time to be buying
Yeah.
propane. So that's what initiated that conversation. So we are locked in on a price, so I can breathe.
Yeah.
Travis, I got a question, and Derek's here, about I think we talked a little bit about these bleachers out here, the baseball bleachers. There's some concerns, they're not, we took them down, they weren't, safety-wise, we can't use them no more. Are we going to have to try to get those replaced?
Yeah, we've tried to talk.
We have a plan.
Yeah.
I actually found out today that sports boosters are gonna buy one. They agreed, so we're good.
So once you get up to so high on those bleachers, you have to have, like where the foot plate is, you have to have a backing plate too. None of those had them. And then also the top bleacher has to have a fence corral around the back of it for our brim regulations. And so there was two or three sets
I
here.
think there were 3.
3 sets here. We had an old set at North Fork as well, a couple years ago, but they write us up every time that they see those bleachers. So we need to transition over to something a little bit different that has those things. So.
But you've got it covered, sports boosters are,
They're gonna help us, and just waiting on Mr. Yoakum to call us back and make sure he's good with our plan.
good luck there.
It's been a couple days.
And it's one of those things, and we're talking about baseball, but football is in the kind of the same deal. You know, we have to tear those bleachers down every year in August and move them out here on the football field. And then we have to wait until football season's over, and this year was late. And so early winter, we're out there trying to tear them down and move them back over. And you have to tear them down into 2 pieces. You have to hook them up to this vent track and drag them up over there, and then get them back into the right places. So it's something I think we need to consider too, is looking at a more mobile set that's set up to be moved. Every time we tear those down and put them back up, we're taking years off their life. And if we could just leave them behind the football field, find something that's a little bit more mobile, and they make some sets, but they're not cheap, you know, that we could pull in, because we have to be able to host home games for football, you gotta have a certain amount of seating for the visitors. And so that's why we moved them out there. We moved both sets out there. But you know, something we need to consider. We've talked about it for many years, and we just never have made a purchase that's mobile on wheels that we can move.
Is there a chance of adding wheels to what you have?
I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
Valley Machine Shop might be able to draw something.
Well, and that's the thing, we've modified those so many times to move them now, where we've made it to where we can put wheels in the back of them, but you have to have a lot of able bodies to lift them up to get the axle under, and then you gotta have able bodies to go on the other side and lift it up and put the tongue on, and it's just a little more than we need to try to be able to do, and especially when it's myself and Rod Cooper and Micah,
Bunch of
they've been,
students.
and some students, and Dan and Andy have helped us, Robert's helped us. I mean, we're just, none of us are getting any younger, and it's something we need to kind of look into and possibly trying to get a set that we can move, and we could pull them out there and put them somewhere for baseball season too, but it would be very helpful if we could find us a set that we could put on wheels and move around. Last year, I even reached out to a couple places that had mobile ones that they rent. But the worst thing is, we need them for the whole season. And so you'd rent them for a week, they'd take them away, or you're gonna get them back in 2 weeks when they, you're not sure. So, I don't know, it's just something we need to kind of can keep in the back of our minds, something we need to move towards, try to find something mobile, but.
Thank you.
Do we get by with softball like that? I mean, I know that's not our field, but
So that,
those bleachers
Yeah,
really
they don't
aren't.
have anything.
I'm not,
That's where ours went.
Oh.
I'm not
okay.
gonna
I was just gonna
comment
ask.
at that, for that place down there.
Okay.
That's not our facility.
That's
I think
not
they were
ours.
not
I
used,
just-
they were moved for the T-ball, right?
Did you move them to
I
the
mean,
T-ball side?
Isn't that where they're
I
gonna be?
think one might be there, and one of them that came from here was in much better condition than a set down there, so
Mhm.
I think one's both places.
Any other questions under facilities? Well, let's say that we're done there. We don't have anything under old business, so under new business, we get to attendance waivers.
I have one attendance waiver for you today. It is AW 2526, number 18. With the start of the new semester, some classes have changed for some kids, and so this is a new one for this semester.
And you have my recommendation to approve this attendance waiver as presented.
Our superintendent's recommending that we approve this attendance waiver. Do we have a motion?
So,
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions? Then all in favor of approving attendance waiver 2526, number 18, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
I do have a question. Are you still kind of keeping up with thank you?
Definitely. He's doing a great job on
I've
that.
met with them 3 times now,
Yep.
and
Great,
attendance is going up.
great. And they're working at the designated
As
places?
far as I can tell.
Great, great. Thank you.
Energy Express.
Yes, we, Brooke received confirmation that we did get approved for Energy Express for the summer of 2026. So we are currently working with her to tailor the application to fit our needs and things before we put that out there. She wanted to be here tonight, but she's out of town this week. So anyway, we just wanted to let you all know that we did get approval for that, and we will be hosting Energy Express this summer again.
Good.
So,
A good program.
yes, we're excited about it.
Any questions here? Then let's move on down to other, and we have the transportation report ridership.
Yes, so at the special board meeting, on that Saturday, you all had talked about, we had talked about the transportation and how many students were over on the minutes. So Lisa submits, everybody has a copy of this. So Lisa submits this report, every year. So this first page breaks down from the elementary students, how many you have over, the middle high school students, and the middle school students and the high school students. And down at the bottom, you can see what the policy, for the over on the minutes. And 6th grade is included in elementary because that's where they're at. So
Okay.
we do include the 6th graders in that.
I wondered about that. And then I think approximately 20% of our students are over.
Over. Yeah. Yep. So she also put together some other just some other informational sheets that you all can look over. The bus riders exceeding time guidelines, the county reported, and she has each bus, AM and PM, and how many students for that one. And then she broke it down into north and south so that you can see both of those areas and how many were in each of those places. And then the last one is all the kids that are over, and she has blacked out the kids' names, but those are all the kids. And the bus drivers supply this information. Once they get their runs set at the beginning of the year, and it takes a little while because, you know, they're making adjustments and things, but they are the ones that give us this information of here's what time they have to turn in, what time they get to each stop, and they have all that documented for us. So,
The ones in red are ones that ride multiple buses.
oh, yeah.
So I have to calculate that time for the network, the amount of time they're on each bus.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And so some of them start with a contract driver, transfer to a regular driver, and then transfer to a bus to come to the high school. So I have to calculate all those times. to get
There's
all
a fair amount of work in
that. It
this.
is. It takes a lot of time.
Thank you. This is good information. Thank you. Any questions under the transportation report? School improvement, I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, it would be any way ever, and I know we talked about in the past as far as we can afford, when the state would ever look at running two buses, that was a thing at one time, wasn't it? Didn't they do that with North Fork, run an elementary bus a little later in the day?
I mean, I don't recall 100% maybe, but, and again, Nicole can give more, but, we were talking today to Delegate Statler, the chair of House. I mean, they're aware that our transportation funding is pretty generous with our 95% reimbursement and the bus replacement money. That's certainly their opinion. So they're looking to cut, they're looking to cut transportation funds. They're not looking to add transportation funds. Now, data like this, I was just thinking,
Right.
he wants to get some feedback.
I'll
And
probably
so-
send them this.
And so this would be good to send,
Oh,
because
yeah.
and we can talk about how even in a small district and how the 1,400 floor is still essential, even because we're still exceeding these timelines. So if we had to get even more condensed into Franklin, let's say, then more kids are gonna be riding longer to get here. And so even with this, and he was careful to say, well, those guidelines are only recommended guidelines, they're not in state code. Some people want us to put them in state code. Of course, he was saying, like, if we put them in state code, you have a lot of unhappy people out there, because then and then he's talked about how far do buses really have to go, because we make bus stops we don't have to make legally, and you'd have to start backtrack to meet the timelines. If that was in state code, you'd have to start holding it to the limit. We only have to do bus stops at certain locations, and then you'd have a whole mess on your hands, going backwards, so to speak.
The second bus run, it's not gonna change the mileage.
Right.
Right.
It might change the time, it's not gonna change how many
Right,
miles
right,
it
and
is.
so
Always down to here.
perhaps at some point in time, but nonetheless, I mean, so we're still making the case that geography matters, that it really does matter, and he wants data. He is interested in getting data, and so this would be good data to simply show, even though, we are a large rural county and we get extra money, we still have a lot of challenges, and kids still are on the bus a long time. And we're not just sitting with a bunch of schools we don't need. We're sitting there with schools that are located in areas that are hard to get to. So this will be good data to forward on in some shape or form to Delegate Statler for that.
Definitely.
Anything else under transportation? Then let's move to school improvement student achievement.
Okay. JP, will you pull up the letter? So preschool, their team had a review, and they did very well. So Carrie and her team, so that includes the preschool teachers, the ECATs, Emmy. It is very unusual to get a letter that says that there is no follow-up needed. And I do want to point out that it says that the West Virginia Universal Pre-K steering team would like to express our sincere gratitude to you and the Petaluma County Collaborative Early Childhood team. And this also does include a representative from Tiny Tots as well. So they have done an amazing job. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of collaboration, and very proud of them and very thankful for their hard work and dedication to our students. They help our students get a good start.
That's significant.
Yep.
Anything else under school improvement, student achievement? Then under the superintendent's update.
Okay, so we had our visit today. It was a very good visit. We did meet with Delegate Statler first, and also Delegate Tony, who is a transportation director as well. So we did talk about transportation quite a bit. And then we met with Senator Morris, and we were, I thought, done for the day. And then JP recommended that we just step into the Senate Education Committee for a little bit, which was very good, and spoke to Senator Oliverio. He remembered that I had been the assistant superintendent, knew me by name, which is impressive. I need to become very good with names like that, but I'm not, but that impressed me. And the second topic, or was it the third topic that came up, was whether or not a superintendent should have to live in a contiguous county. And so that was a very debated topic, and then that's where I got involved, because he pointed me out and said, I think that our superintendent that's in attendance today might have some thoughts on that. So they did call me up, and I did just point out they were thinking about it. The draft, the proposal had a 2-hour travel time, and they wanted to move it down to one. One recommendation was, or amendment was, to make it an hour. And I did get back up and say, I can't get to Elkins from here in an hour, and that's a contiguous, so that did make them stop and think a little bit, and just gave them some information that we have a hard time. We have lost excellent candidates for various positions because we don't have a place for someone to stay. And if that's one of the requirements, which it has been, when someone's moving to this area, they need to have a place to live. And if it's too far for them to be, it's just very difficult, and we've lost people. So it would be terrible if you're in need of a superintendent, especially what they were speaking of mostly were the takeover counties and the situation there. So that's, I think, what heated up the discussion. But that was a very interesting conversation and opportunity. The first item, which is also of interest to us, is they did pass to the full Senate of approving and recommending that we would be allowed to have 10 non-instructional days. So that would be very, very helpful to us, I feel. Not everybody is in agreement with that, but I do think so that was good to be there at those topics and to hear that conversation. Delegate Statler, he had some choice expressions that I loved. He did call someone a whipping pony, which I hadn't heard for a while. And then he also referred to when things get a little bit tense, he said, how did he put it? The arrows will sling. They'll sling the arrows. So you could just tell his phrases were I enjoyed talking with him. So he says he's a farmer. I also got to meet Drew McClanahan, who works for the State Department with Michelle Blatt, very closely with Michelle Blatt. We, JP and I, Travis, you weren't in that meeting when we met about the 1400 floor, but he was in the Teams meeting, and I had not met him in person, so that was good to be able to meet him. And so we met with Statler as the House Education Chair, and Delegate Tony is the Vice Chair, so that was a great opportunity. And there was some discussion about hold harmless, and not just as a passing, but as a serious consideration that maybe if they make changes, it won't be to the detriment of a county, so it won't affect them negatively. So that would be definitely something that if we see a trend where they are going to make changes, if they at least have that stipulation, hold harmless, I think we'll be able to stay above water, hopefully. So it was a good day.
Good.
Yes.
Any questions for the superintendent under superintendent's update? Then we'll get down to conference and meeting update.
So next Tuesday, the county leadership meeting will be held, and then central office meeting will be on Thursday. And then other than that, WVASA has their national conference, and I don't attend that, so hopefully I'll be in the county a little bit more, and hopefully we'll be in the classrooms.
And then our next meeting will be on Tuesday, February the 17th at the Pendleton County Board of Education, Love Grove Building. And there will be a special board meeting on February 11th, beginning at 5:30. And I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, please signify